Fresh View Business Solutions, we work with business owners on strategies for their eventual exit. I'm Diane Kelly, and as a certified exit planner, I am trained to help you find the gaps in your business. Stay tuned, and at the end of this video, there will be a free assessment to identify some other gaps in your business and an offer from our guest today. There is one gap that is overlooked and neglected. Overwhelming statistics show that fully 75% of owners regret selling their business within 1 year of the sale. Here to help us understand why that may be is Dr. Karthik Ramanan, NMD. Dr. K is a licensed naturopathic physician, emotional health expert, and life coach. Dr. K completed his undergraduate studies at Cornell University with dual bachelor's degrees in biological sciences and applied economics and management. Through a series of personal life events, he decided to become a naturopathic physician. Through his Emotionally Healthy Company program, Dr. K helps business owners overcome challenges associated with burnout and stress. And none of us know anything at all about that. Dr. K, thank you for joining us today. Why is it that so many business owners regret selling their business, even when it was a successful exit financially? And what do they need to do as they are growing their business to better prepare?
Yeah, it's a great question. How many times, whether it's selling a business or anything really, we work so hard for so long to get to a certain goal, and we get there and it's like, now what? Right. And in the case of selling a business, I mean, first of all, it's like literally our baby, right?
That umbilical cord is tied.
Yeah, right. And so to let go of that is actually a much more emotional thing than it is looking for that financial gain or the things that we think that we want. Because it sounds great. You sell your business, you're able to retire, maybe you buy a house on the beach, play golf 5 days a week. Promise you it will get boring in about 2 to 3 weeks.
There's
maybe not even that.
Time to fill in that gap. Yes.
There's a lot more time.
Yeah.
But really what we always want to look at anytime that we make a change is, what is this current situation providing me on an emotional and a human needs level? So that I'm aware of what needs to be replaced, so to speak, right? Yes, there's time, but time can be filled in numerous ways. You could, look, our phones, you could scroll TikTok for 40 hours in a week easily,
YouTube.
But right, whatever, right? Watch amazing interviews like this, right? But but the truth is that when we look at our human needs from an emotional level, an emotional health level, and human needs, there's various models. Probably the most well-known is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The one that I like to focus on in just certain areas for our emotional health are 4 primary areas. Number 1, stability. Stability is the roof over our head, making sure we have food in our belly, money in our pocket, things that allow us to just feel safe and secure. That's necessary. And if those areas in our life are in upheaval, everything else seems secondary.
Right.
But, if you do your exit appropriately, right? They've got somebody like you in their corner.
Yeah.
Exactly. Helping, if you got Diane helping you, you're going to exit your business successfully. You're going to have that stability. Okay, check. What else? Belonging. Belonging is vital. Now, we are a social species. We need our tribes, our families. And sometimes our families are the ones that we create in our business. Even if, again, following your advice, the business is only worth something if you can extract yourself as the business owner out of it. Otherwise, nobody's going to buy it, right? They're going to be buying a job. So when you extract yourself, there is still that connection to the people there that you've hired along the way. And that provides a sense of belonging. So in the next chapter, you might need to look at belonging. Okay. Number 3, growth. This is a huge one because, we as human beings need to grow, even though it's not necessarily metabolically favorable. It's not something that we generally crave, in the sense of, see, the human body, think of all the organs that operate, all the energy that's used, the heart that's been pumping from before you were born, your lungs, that your diaphragm that has been going up and down, expanding and contracting your lungs, except for when you hold your breath when you're swimming or something, right? Your skeletal muscles that have been moving your body your whole life. And yet, the one organ that takes more energy than any other organ is the human brain. 20% of the body's energy is used by the brain just to exist, just baseline. So any work that needs to be done, whether it's challenging belief systems, whether it's doing a complex financial analysis, whether any of these things requires energy, and your brain's calculating, I don't want to spend 3 calories on this, 20 calories on that. And so to grow is to inherently push ourselves out of our comfort zone. And it's not always comfortable. Think about when you started your business and when you got it off the ground. Think about all the things that you had to do to learn and grow. It was challenging, but it was rewarding, right? And that's what I'm talking about with the emotional health, the reward that comes from growth, that satisfaction, that
Fulfillment.
improvement, that fulfillment.
Yeah.
And for a lot of us, our businesses forced us to grow as people,
Yep.
right? We had to learn skills that we didn't have. We had to learn how to trust other people. We had to learn all of these things. And so now without that business, where are you going to get your growth from? So here's a couple ways. Think about that hobby that you just put on the back burner decades ago. Like, this is a great opportunity to pick up that guitar or learn how to,
Foreign language.
foreign language. Yeah. Or all those books that you are on your shelf. They're like, oh, I'll get to them the someday maybe list. Right.
Right.
And so all of those things are opportunities to grow. So number 3, growth. And here's the big one though. Number 4, purpose. Purpose.
Yeah.
We all need a reason to be here on earth. We all feel an intrinsic purpose. And even though you may not consciously think of, well, if I sell my business, where am I going to get my sense of purpose from? You're probably not thinking that. But what your unconscious mind is processing is, how do I fill that void? Can I fill that void? Where am I going to get that from? And it might even be the human spirit, the soul, whatever you want to call it. There's a reason for us to be here. And if our business is our reason, it becomes a lot harder to let go. And so let me give you an example. I have a client who is a part owner in an HVAC company, and he and his son and son-in-law own a third each of this company. It's been around 15 years now. They've done very well. And he's approaching his retirement, and he's realizing, I'm dragging my feet. It's hard. I'm having a very hard time letting go. And so as we started to dive into that, what he realized was that from an early age, one of the cornerstones of his identity is, I'm a provider. I take care of people. He's a nurturing, loving human being. He looks after his family. He's constantly concerned about their well-being, maybe too much sometimes, the things that he can't even control, right? Worry wart, we might call some of us, right? But as he recognized that if I let go of my shares of this company, it's, sell it to my partners here, son and son-in-law, where am I going to get my sense of purpose? The purpose being a provider, being a nurturer. It's been his why for so long.
And probably by extension to his employees as well, because people like that treat their employees like family, right?
Absolutely.
So he's
absolutely.
for all these people's lives.
Absolutely. And that's what made him so great at what he did and what he and his family were able to build. So, but when it came time to exit, had to focus on, okay, well, how do I fill those needs elsewhere, right? And as we started to dive into what that could look like, okay, where can you get that sense of purpose now? Well, he loves spending time with his family, his grandkids. He's got grandkids in different parts of the country now. So it's like, well, he and his wife can travel. They can go to, recently they went to a concert in Denver that they probably would not have gone to in the last, decades, just because of the freedom that now comes from being able to let go. And so being there for his kids and grandkids, to contribute to his church, not just, more so his time and efforts now,
Right.
being able to do some of those things and contribute in those areas. And we can find growth and purpose, especially belonging, growth and purpose, but especially growth, definitely purpose in other areas of life. And the moment, and this is why we need to do this ahead of time, because the
Exactly.
moment you sell the business and you let go, this is why they regret within the first year, because now you're like, okay, now what? How do I fill these voids? But I don't even know what those voids are.
Yeah.
So if we can pinpoint what exactly all those needs are ahead of time, we craft a plan for how to, much like you're helping them craft a plan for how to extract themselves from the business, I help them craft a plan for what does the next chapter of your life look like, and how can we live into that, because there will be resistance, there will be certain things, and the aspect of, let's say, how do I even get healthy enough physically to be able to enjoy some of those things like travel,
Yeah.
and
Sometimes
all of
they
those things have to be
sacrifice
set
their
in
health
place,
along the way too for those
right?
long hours and not taking care of themselves. And we try to encourage them to start doing that before they exit, right?
Absolutely. And when you do, then the outcome is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, much better, much better. Yeah, so to your story about the HVAC company, I had a client referred to me by their counselor, so that tells you something right there. And the dad and the mom were in the office, and the dad was very put out because even though his son was successfully running the business, he felt like he was being pushed out.
Mm,
And he says, "What's his hurry? He's going to get it when I die anyway." And I could see that that was exactly what the issue was. So I asked him, I said, "Hey, you've been a successful businessman all these years." "Yes, I have." "And you've also been very good at your trade." "Yes, I have." "And your son, how's he doing in the business?" He says, "He's doing a great job." I said, "That's to your credit because you trained him correctly." He says, "Yes, I did." I said, "And I'm sure you've trained lots of other employees along the way too in the trades and everything. And maybe some of them have left to start their own business too." And he says, "Yeah." I said, "So why don't you take all that talent and experience and bring it down to the next generation? Because we need to be starting to planning the next generation's success, and go talk to the community college and the high school programs that are gearing people to go into the trades because we need them desperately, and nobody's talking to them about the opportunities. They're just hearing college, 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 and getting that shoved down their throats, and maybe they're not cut out for college. So go down and talk to them." And it was like a light bulb went off, and he went, "Oh, it's a great idea." So purpose, right? He had
yeah.
to have a reason to get up in the morning and to be able to use everything that he's learned and experienced over the years to share it with others. And I think that that's really critical.
Absolutely. And one of the things that here's a quick way to try to figure out what that could be. How can you take all the things that you've learned in your lifetime, both experientially through studying, uh, both in your business, in life in general, right? And teach that to somebody who's coming up, because you might save 10 years of effort for somebody. What's that worth?
Yeah.
Right? Now, not everybody's going to be willing to listen, but for that one person that is, you could change that person's life. And the the thing that we sometimes lose sight of is that we think that we need to get all these things or have all these things in place and then I'll be happy. One of
Right.
the easiest ways to find true joy, unconditional joy, is to simply help somebody else.
Give back.
and
Absolutely.
and I can't tell you how many times I have that conversation with people where they're dissatisfied with their job, or whatever it might be, and they're just like, well, what would you rather be doing? Well, I want to be helping people.
Yeah.
I want to be help. Like, we intrinsically know this, but it's not always easy to put that into action. And it doesn't have to be charity work. It could be, right, or
Sure.
with your church or whatever it is, right? But it could also be, like you said, professional development. It could be inspiring. And that alone could be an incredible use of time, because when you see somebody's life turn for the better because of some nugget that you shared or some mentorship that you offered, there's no better feeling than that.
Absolutely. And there's organizations like SCORE and the community colleges. They're looking for mentors. So being a mentor is a great way to use your experience and your talents and abilities to give back. And that too will bring in that fulfillment and that purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what else do you find with the business owners that they need to get out of their own way? Because we're talking about cutting that umbilical cord.
Yeah, getting that, I mean, it's just that getting out of our own way, and it shows up in so many ways. Whether it's imposter syndrome, whether it's nobody can do it as well as me, right? How many times have you heard that one,
Oh yeah.
right?
Just one or two. Yeah, yeah.
The control issue. So I'll give you an example. I have a client. She's not ready to exit. She's 38, owns co-owner of 5 different businesses. Mom of 3. She's a superwoman. She loves what she does, but she was going so hard and pushing so hard to get everything done and grow her businesses, and she was very demanding on her people too. Like, it's got to be done perfect yesterday. And so as a micromanager and everything else across these businesses, she was working like 80 hours a week. So then she'd come home, she's exhausted, stressed, and maybe a little bit short with her kids, and it was just a losing situation for everybody. And eventually she got to a point where her emotional health was struggling. She's like, I can't keep doing it this way. Because remember, if something doesn't, don't confuse hope for a plan. If you keep doing the same thing and you keep getting the same result, it might be
Definition of
time to try a
insanity.
different route, right? And
Yeah.
so that's what she did. And so we focused on, her 5 pillars of emotional health: psychology, relationships, nutrition, sleep, body movement, a complete 5 lifestyle factors as well that go into emotional well-being. And in doing so, we started to uncover what was her internal reasoning for, let's just say, being a control freak, right? And so,
Just
and
call it what it is.
yeah, just call it what it is.
Yeah.
And what we, is it because people are bad or mean or anything like that? No, it's nothing to that.
Yeah.
What is the internal driver? Well, because of past events in her life where she felt less than, felt not good enough,
Insecurity.
insecurity, which a lot of us, if not most of us, have some form of that because of events growing up, the lens through which we see the world. The way she compensated for it was actually the way I compensated for it as well, which was being a workaholic. Because the more you work and the more you achieve, then if I get to this stage, then I'll feel better. When I get to that stage, then I'll feel better. Then I'll be happy. And eventually realize that day never comes.
Yeah.
Right. And so her controlling her businesses, even though she had everybody in place to do all those roles, her overseeing everything made her really just gave her a way to work hard to prove that she was good enough. So once we could really get to the core of all those things and implement some actionable strategies to help that shift over the course of a few weeks and months, what ended up happening? 80 hours a week down to 20 hours a week.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
And she'll admit there's certain things, yeah, I could probably do that better. It's probably 80% of what I would do, but it's worth having, less stress. But on the flip side, that person that you've now trusted, you've empowered this person. Think about their human needs, right? Think about their needs to belong. Now they feel more belonging in the company. Their needs to grow. Hey, you're trusting them. They're willing to grow, try new things, and purpose. That sense of like, I matter here, right? And so you've given that opportunity to somebody, and now guess what? They're much less likely to leave, at least on a whim, things like that. If some great opportunity, or maybe they want to start their own business, they're empowered. Great, you let them fly.
Yeah, they
right?
want to feel appreciated too.
They want to feel appreciated.
And if you're micromanaging and constantly taking things out of their hands, they're going to feel that lack of trust, number one. Number two, they're not going to grow. So you won't have the depth of the team that you need and want. And you're really giving a bad message to your people. So I think that, this is probably an area where business owners really struggle. So in my own situation, I have another company, a life and health insurance agency that I've run now for 18 years. And I kept saying, I need to find my clone. And I did. And so, they talk about marrying up. I hired up. And the person I
Nice.
brought in is doing a great job. She's doing a bang up job. She's really got the reins. They've changed over many things. She works great with the team. She's leading really well. And she's been nominated as the best insurance agent in Tucson in the last 2 years. And I've had the company for 18 years. I'm like, what's wrong with that
Uh,
picture? No, I'm really
Good
happy
for
for
her.
her and I support her. And that would enable me to get out of that end of the business on a day-to-day basis and come and help business owners do likewise. So I'm preaching my same story to them and saying, if I can do it, you can do it, because I've been in the business a long time and I have
Mhm.
a lot of information, a lot of education, a lot of things that I'd invested in, but now I can spend the time doing this for other business owners and let new people, the younger generation, if you will, come in and take the reins. And I'm so happy I did that. And it's
Love
worked
that.
out great.
I love that. And actually, you illustrated something that my client experienced as well. Yeah, there might be a couple roles because none of us are absolutely the best at everything.
Yeah,
Now, we might have an intricate understanding because we built something from the ground up. Uh, but there have been various other things that's, I trusted this person. They've run with it. They've done a better job than I could have.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
And just think of, again, we talked about making a difference and how that gives us fulfillment.
yeah,
We, we can do that right here, right now,
yeah, exactly. Exactly. You don't have to
while we
wait.
still own the company. Yeah.
Right. And whether they realize it or not, by training their employees and their staff, people who are in leadership in their company, they're already doing that. They're already
Right.
passing the baton somewhat, but it's where they can't let go that becomes the issue.
Exactly. And that's entirely an inside game. That is knowing your own mind.
Yeah, yeah. So you have a strategic process that you take people through to lead them through that. And you kind of touched on it. Would you like to elaborate a little bit more on what that process is so my audience here, our audience, will understand that they too can get out of their own way?
Yeah, absolutely. If you'll indulge me, can I give you a little backstory
Sure.
to answer that question? Um, so after my undergraduate studies, I actually started working on Wall Street for 8 years. It's not what I've been doing my whole working life. It was during the Great Recession. That was a fun time to be there.
No
So burnout,
stress.
yeah, I get it, right? But again, I kind of alluded to earlier that my compensation mechanism for not feeling good enough growing up was to work harder and to achieve more. But every level of achievement at the company, it didn't fill that void. And eventually I realized, wait a second, what am I doing? And so as my health was struggling, I was struggling with my health, my weight gain and everything else. I was like, I don't understand how I can be so successful on the outside and so miserable on the inside. And fortunately, universe had my back. My sister, I saw her after a 3-month span. She had lost 30 pounds, cystic acne cleared up. So whatever she did, I'm going to do. And so I got her advice and I started shifting my nutrition, and that also helped shift my mood. And in
Wow.
doing so, by eating more whole plants and focusing on the foods that we were designed for in nature, because we weren't designed for this crazy world, modern world.
No.
We were designed to thrive out there. And
Yeah.
so as I did that, I started to, fortunately inspire some of the people around me. And I saw type 2 diabetes, chronic migraines, cholesterol issues, all this stuff started to go away. And that was what led me down the road of, okay, I feel fulfillment now in a way that I've never felt before because I'm making a difference, right? So I'm bringing that point back because this is vital. We can all do this in our own way. So that's what led me down the path of, okay, I'm going to give up that whole Wall Street career. I'm going to go to naturopathic medicine. I'm going to study for 4 years, met the love of my life in medical school. And
Awesome.
so, and as I graduated and I started, moving on from there and deciding where to focus, what I realized is that, healing starts and ends up here. And when we as business owners have the ability to influence the lives of the people around us, whether it's obviously employees, but clients, vendors, but think about this, it's also the families of all the employees too, right? We've had that stress of, with payroll, people's livelihoods are on our shoulders. if we can shift ourselves to feeling better and, exhibiting a different way, we're able to make an incredible impact. But the route that I take that's a little bit different is this. So, imagine that plant back there, if it was dying, what would we do? We'd probably, okay, well, let's make sure that it gets enough sun, soil, make sure it gets enough water. But what are those things? Those are the fundamental determinants for that plant to thrive. If we
Right.
take that same approach with our emotional health,
Mhm.
right? The air, water, sun, soil is psychology, our belief systems, the lens through which we see the world. We talked about, the insecurities, where those come from, things along those lines. But number two, relationships. We're the average of the 5 people and ideas that we spend the most time with. Maybe we need to be around other business owners that did it the right way and are fulfilled after selling their
I
business,
fully
and we
believe
can
in that
learn and grow from.
community. I call them my
Right.
tribe.
Yeah, we can learn and grow from those
Yeah,
people as well.
yeah,
Number three, nutrition. 90% of our neurotransmitters that regulate how we think, act, and feel come from our gut, the bacteria that live there. We don't even make them ourselves. We outsource that work, right? And
yeah.
so when we can treat our gut health well, our emotional health improves. And that also has physical health implications as well, positive ones. Number four, sleep, right? How do we prioritize sleep so that we can be restored, restore our brain health, all of those things. Number five, body movement. Motion dictates emotion. So this lifestyle approach to our emotional health, when applied to the business owner, now has reaching impacts to everybody whose
Everything,
life that business owner
everything.
works with. Yeah.
It's not just the exit, it's their life and the quality of their life that can improve. Like you said, and a lot of these business owners, very honestly, who are working 12, 14-hour days,
Yeah.
they don't take care of their personal health. They probably don't eat right, because a lot of them, especially if they're contractors, they're on the road, they're
Mhm.
grabbing fast food.
Right.
All these will have an impact. So let's just take them down the road and say they have a successful exit, but they don't have their health.
Right.
Then what?
Yeah. Then
Right?
what
They
was it
can't
for?
enjoy all the things they wanted to enjoy, and maybe they die young. My
Right.
husband died at age 62. He didn't take
Yeah.
care of himself. And no, everybody preached to him, but he decided not to make those changes. And so,
Right.
that's a sad story. And he was also my business partner. So I learned what it was like to lose somebody who was involved not only in my personal life, but my business life, and had to find people to replace them. And, that cost time and money, and think about the stress. So I preach that all the time, Dr. K, to
Yeah.
business owners, that they have to take care of themselves. I'll tell you, women are much better at that than men.
Yeah.
The men are
That is so true.
notorious about not
That is,
taking care of themselves. You can talk to a woman about taking care of herself, and most of them are going to get it. The men,
yeah.
no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's two different challenges. One, I find that a lot of women that I get to work with, they understand the value of it right off the bat. It's the, how do I make it happen, especially if they have kids at home, things like that. So used to just taking care of everybody else.
Yeah.
Eventually, like, okay, how do I do the self-care part? For the men, a lot of times it's, uh, I'm fine. I thought so too. Okay. I thought so
Yeah.
too. But eventually, if we're filling the void of the quiet of our mind with, TV, YouTube, whatever, TikTok, right? But those moments that we are by ourselves quiet, just ask ourselves, is this everything? Is this everything we want?
Yeah.
Because I'll promise you one thing. You don't know what feeling great feels like until you've been there, because we normalize what we feel,
Right.
and you
This
don't
is normal.
know what you can feel
Yeah.
until you get there. And
Yeah.
it's scary because, like I mentioned, the brain doesn't want to use all that energy.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to take that step, I can promise you the growth, the fulfillment, the purpose, the satisfaction and fulfillment in life is there for you on the other side of this work.
Yeah. And you have to have the joy of life. And
Right.
I see a lot of business owners who are burnout,
Right.
stressed out. They have little to no joy in their life because they aren't building it in there. And like you said, it has to be intentional, it has to be deliberate. And
Right.
I think that is another big component of any exit strategy, is that what do you want to do? Like you said, the fulfillment and the stability and the other things that all fill into that. It's much deeper than on the surface. So somebody
Absolutely.
might be walking around going, hey, I'm successful and I built this multi-million-dollar company and look at what I've done. And then they really aren't fulfilled on the inside. And that
Right.
is really critical. That is really
It is.
critical.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what other advice would you give to business owners to prepare along the way and not wait for that exit time to go, uh-oh?
Yeah. You know what? I think it's vital to think ahead. And also, that's not something that we're wired for either. There have
Yeah.
been studies that have shown that we can't even recognize one of the reasons that we don't prioritize the future is, so in one study, what they did was they took um, people's faces, the participants in the study, they aged them digitally, AI stuff like
Don't
that,
do
right?
that to me, okay?
Into the future, into the future, and basically showed them different faces, one of which was that aged forward face, and tracked some brainwave activity to see, because when you see yourself in the mirror, there's like, oh yeah, you recognize yourself, right?
Right.
They found that there wasn't really a statistically significant difference in activity in terms of looking at a stranger's face versus your own age forward face.
Oh,
We
interesting.
don't think about the future.
Yeah,
We
you
don't
don't
think about the
recognize
future. We're
yourself.
too we're
Yeah,
too concerned about right here, right now. So I'll
yeah.
say two things for that. One way that I suggest, and I use myself to make decisions, is simply this: what would I regret more?
Mhm.
If I'm 90 years old and I'm looking back on my life, what would I regret more? To take the chance to help myself feel better, look, even just selling the business part.
Yeah.
How many business owners try to sell and don't get to sell?
70%.
Oh my goodness. So,
It's a
so
lot.
that alone, right? If you
Yeah.
don't plan now, you might be part of that 70% that business just falls apart, and now you have your life savings is pretty much with that thing, right? And
80% of
so
their wealth is tied up in their
80%,
business.
yeah, 80% of their wealth. So on one hand, you risk that aspect,
Yeah.
but on the other hand, also, let's say you are one of the fortunate few that are able to sell. What is that next chapter about? Do you have the physical well-being, the emotional well-being to live a life of contribution, of purpose, of growth, all of those things? It takes a little bit of planning, but I promise you, it's not as scary as you might think.
Well, not
And
only that, but
when
you
you
can't
focus on,
delay it. You have to start it now.
yeah,
Don't
and the
wait.
benefit is, if you start now, obviously from a business standpoint, it's going to pay dividends.
Yeah.
But even from an emotional standpoint, right here, right now, doing the work right now,
Mhm.
even something as simple as shifting the way we eat. Yeah, maybe at first it's like, oh, I don't know, I don't really like greens and whatnot. But in 3 to 4 weeks, you're like, man, I feel really good. Feeling more energy, feeling more alive.
Right.
What's that worth? Right. And that's
Life
something
looks
you do
safe.
today that pays dividends down the road, and it still feels good today. That's a best of both worlds, right?
Yep, exactly. After my husband passed and I felt ready, I decided to start back out in the dating world.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the problem is that at my stage of life, a lot of the men I was meeting, as I call it, were old in the head.
Mm.
They had one foot in God's waiting room, I say. It's
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
okay, no, I feel like I'm just getting started. So I needed somebody who was going to come in and echo my energy. And that's been tough, but I think I found somebody. So we'll see
Well,
how that works
we've
out.
we've gotten to meet in person, and I will, you listening to this interview right now, I will, the energy that she has coming through the camera, it's like 3x that in person. So yeah, it's
Well,
definitely,
thanks, Dr. K.
keep up with
I'm
Diane here.
blushing. Thank you. Thank you. So I really appreciate you being here today. And these are so critical for the business owners to consider. When I talk about end of life and I talk to them about insurance and all these other things, and they want to ignore that, don't ignore what you need to take care of today because tomorrow might be too late. All right.
Right.
Exits aren't always voluntary either. Sometimes you exit and you didn't plan on it. So
Right.
make sure that you have everything tied up for your family. I can speak to that after losing my husband. It's just really important that you have this consideration, but definitely going forward, if you want to exit the business and be successful in that exit, you got to have a life.
Absolutely. It's so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
So important.
So we will have Dr. K's information at the bottom of this video. Please feel free to reach out. And I think he has an offer for you. for,
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to download the first chapter of my upcoming book, The Emotionally Healthy You: How to Own Your Past and Love Your Future, you can go to drkarthikramanan.com/books. We'll have the link in the description or
yep,
whatever it is down there.
yep.
And yeah, you can download the first chapter for free and you'll be alerted when it comes out later this fall.
Awesome. I'm excited about that. I'm definitely going to take a look at that one. And then also from Freshview, we're going to have a complimentary assessment for you to find out what the gaps are, some of the other gaps in your business, not just the emotional and the exit strategy. That's really one of the most critical things, I think, but there are going to be some other gaps too. And we can absolutely take a look at that for you and give you some feedback. So thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming on board here. And we're both available for any questions. Our contact information is down below. So thanks for joining us.